Okay guys, it's time to go ahead and put the PS4 back together. So it's just about reversing what we did, trying to retrace our steps and putting everything back together. So the first thing to do is to obviously put back the fan in. Make sure you line up all the holes and stuff, slot it in. Go ahead and put the screw. Go ahead and put in the screw that we missed, and what you can do is you can go ahead and look for the other screw that's like it and just go ahead and put it in, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put this one in for now, like so. Don't know why this one doesn't seem to go in that nicely. In fact, it's not going in at all. This is interesting. Usually it at least goes in somewhat. This one isn't going in at all. Sure, this is the this is the last screw that we took out. So not too sure what's going in here. There we go. Just playing a bit hard to get. There's actually this screw here as well that we can go ahead and put in. This is again using a Phillips screw, one of the small ones. These are very small screws, are really annoying to go ahead and put back in. It's just difficult all around screws to just work with, but nonetheless do fit in. What I would say is don't fit in the screws tightly, so the moment you feel like it's not going anymore, just stop, otherwise you might just end up stripping the screws, and that's always pretty much never ever good. And the next step is to go ahead and get the heatsink plate, which is this one here, and to go ahead and just put it in. So this one, gosh, I'm trying to line this up properly. I believe it's like that. There we go. I believe we had 3 screws. So we've got this one. It's actually what I think I've gone ahead and done is I've put in that screw prematurely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this screw. It's a bit of a mistake. I think if you've got the later, what's it called? The earlier PS4 models, it would be that one. It would be both these ones, but this model of the PS4 is slightly newer, so they've, even though things are very similar, they've changed quite a bit of things. And you know, these things are worth noting. But I think now we can go ahead and put this one in, as the arrow shows. This screw can go here. I believe this top panel had 3 screws to begin with. Again, I'm not completely too sure, fortunately. What I'm gonna go do is screws being very difficult to put in, but I believe these ones were Phillips screws that went in to here, here, here. This one's being difficult. Here we go. So now it's time to actually go ahead and put the motherboard back in. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is measure the dimensions of the RAM chips and cut out thermal pads according to each one to try and cover as much of the space as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply thermal paste onto the APU, spread it around. You can also apply a bit. Actually, you know what? I don't think you would need to do that. Just apply a bit to the APU, and then once you've squished it in with the heatsink, like this, then it will automatically apply a bit of pressure. If you want, you can go and spread a little bit on the heatsink, but I don't think that's really necessary. Just apply some on the APU, and then once you've squished them, that will be enough. So I'm going to take a bit of a break, cut off some of the thermal pads according to the dimensions of the RAM chips, and yeah, I'll see you guys in probably a few minutes. Bye. Okay, so as you can see, I've gone ahead and applied thermal pads that conform to the dimension of the RAM chips. It's not 100% perfect, but as you can see, none of the black stuff or none of the RAM chips are really visible, and they've been completely covered by the thermal pads, so that hopefully will help with the cooling. Now the next step is to go ahead and apply the thermal paste to the APU. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Just need a place to put this. Don't really want the RAM chips to get too dirty and whatnot. So hopefully it shouldn't be too bad if I just put it like that. To get the thermal paste, which is here. It's the satisfying part. I always do love this. I'll try and zoom in just to show you guys how much I'm going to apply. Hopefully it doesn't trigger too many people. I'm trying to get it centered, but it's just a bit difficult. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and apply a good amount of thermal paste. There we go. I think that's more than enough. Probably have enough for about 2 more scoops. That's good. And then what you can go and do is you can leave it like that, let it squish to the heat sink. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread it around myself. Again, you don't need to do this, but it's just something I like to do just to make sure that the thermal paste is spread evenly across the whole of the APU. There we are. I think that's more than enough. Try and scoop this up. Try and just apply this to a bit where I think there isn't much. Anyway, I think that's good. Go ahead and just put these here. And it's time to put the motherboard back in place. Back out. So now it's time to put the motherboard back in place. I'm doing this the right way, yeah. Yeah, it's the right way. think everything's fine. We can tell we've added enough thermal paste if you go ahead and just apply a bit of pressure onto the board, and then as you take it out, you can go ahead and see if it's made contact, which it has. So that's how you can tell if you've added enough of the thermal paste. But now I'm going to go ahead and put it back, because I've done what I wanted to show you guys. That bit could just go in, that would be great. There we go. Just a bit of the motherboard that is a bit, refusing to go in. I think I know why. Probably courtesy of this little piece here. It's likely the jet button needs to be pieced here, so that way when you press it, it sort of goes back. I think that's in place. Let me just double check. Yeah, I think that's all good. Trying to figure out exactly how the hell I even got this thing. Anywho, just go ahead and insert that back in there. Then it acts like a pressing button, essentially. But yeah, that's in the... should now be in the correct place. B ports are there. Give me 1 second, guys. So the next step is to go ahead and put your APU clamp on. That's in there. This is in here. These had nice screws. Very, very distinct. It's more or less impossible to really lose them. You have to kind of want to lose them. It's nice and easy to remember where they go, because they're so distinct. Go ahead and just put them in. These had a bit of travel time, if you remember. So just take your time with putting these ones in. Do try and make sure they go as tight as possible to really clamp the APU to the heatsink, to make sure as much heat is going to that heatsink as possible, allowing the fan to blow it all out. Now this next part was probably the most notoriously difficult part of the teardown. We've got this, which had a bunch of screws that we unscrewed and now need to screw back. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and make sure we put the connectors and whatnot that we initially removed. So that was this cable here, which went into this connector here. can just kind of slot in. We've got a fan connector, wouldn't want to miss that out. Your system would definitely overheat even with cleaning and thermal paste and thermal pads. Let's go ahead and slot that back in. And yeah, so the next step is to put this back on. Yep. Go ahead, just align it up. Should just more or less slot in nicely. And go ahead and fit your screws back in. So this bit was a bit difficult for us because this is the model where there's just quite a bit of changes involved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put everything here first. So actually this screw didn't even go on. That's how late that screw goes in. So I'm going to take this screw off. Put this on first. Even then it didn't seem to really align up properly, which is a bit annoying. So I'm gonna just do a bit of this off camera and see if I can get this annoying piece to become aligned. Okay, so I got it in. It's supposed to go over the metal panel, so if I go ahead and just release this again, it's supposed to just clip in here on the side, go over the panel, then into there. So it's supposed to just slot in place basically, and you know you've done it right when it's nice and firm. We've also had this weird funky black piece. This one's sort of just clipped onto the side. So I'm assuming, yeah, there we go. It just clips in like that. So we've got all these pieces in place now. It's time to just go ahead and put all the screws. So yeah, let's go ahead and put in. So I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to watch the video that I did previously to go ahead and figure out how to put all the screws back in. So I'll see you guys in just a minute.